that could change our world. And when I say our world, I mean Africa. The project, I was on that project for 12 years, well over a decade, and I had to hand over to the next group of young people that we have trained. So I'm saying I'm not surprised because I'm beginning to see the young African, the young Ghanaian, begin to think at the global stage. Now, the global aviation industry is estimated to value about 4.1 trillion US dollars. That's roughly around 3.9% of the global GDP, employing around 86 million people globally. So when we talk about the aviation industry, we are indeed talking about a very big industry that has a huge potential for the young minds to explore and make an impact. Now, coming home, and when I say home, I mean Africa. Our aviation industry is just about 1.8% of the total global industry, employing around 360,000 people with a total value of around 86.5% or 86.5 billion US dollars. If you juxtapose our population against what share of that industry that we do, we own just about 1.8%. That is not good enough. Now, I'm not talking about Ghana. I always want to talk about Africa, because the reality is that we live in a global world. Now, most of the times we see those as semantics, but they are the realities of our time. We live in a global world, we live in a global village. And the first thing that comes to mind of the average Ghanaian youth when we talk about the globe is the internet. Yes, is the key. But what do we do online when we go online? That's the question. Now, the global world or the global village, why do we liken it to a village? How many of us have grew up in a village? I was born in a city, but I've had stints with villages due to my work. We say it's a village because in a typical village, everybody knows everybody. And what everybody does affects the other person. Now, the West, who control the narrative, saw it to their advantage to make the world a village, so that whatever it is that is happening at any part of that village affects the other parts of that village. So when we say we live in a global village, that is why when Russia and Ukraine are involved in a conflict, it has a rippling effect on the price of flour in Abosokan. I don't know if you're beginning to have the mental picture. Russia and Ukraine are having their conflict somewhere. But because of the global supply chain, it is having an effect on how much bread I'm going to get when I give out 5 cities. I'm sitting in my old Tafo Zongo somewhere. I'm sitting by somewhere. I have no idea, I have no contribution to what is happening in Russia and Ukraine. Yet it is having a rippling effect on how much bread I will get when I give out 5 cities. So when we say we live in a global village, it means whatever it is that is happening anywhere, any part of the world, has an implication on your life. It comes with huge challenges and overwhelming opportunities. So while it is having that effect on how much bread I will get when I give out 5 cities, it also means that when I'm a young man who is innovative enough to start up a product in Moshizongo, I should be able to trade and sell my product to somebody in Puerto Rico. I don't know if you get the connection. Much as it's having an effect on the prices of flour in Ghana, it also opens us a whole world of opportunity for me to sit in the comfort of my home and work for Microsoft in the US without necessarily knowing the 4 walls of the US embassy, let alone get a visa. Now, coming home on today's program is about the aviation industry, and I've just told you we only control about 1.8% of the total global industry. I want this conversation to center on how we can make an impact in the next decade. The challenge with us is that we don't think beyond a year. If I am to lock this door and ask each one of us here, including myself, to give our 10-year plan, I think we'll struggle to get somewhere to get out. But you see, the fact of the matter is that whether you plan or you don't plan, the next 10 years will come. So if you are failing to plan, then you are planning to fail. The African aviation industry is estimated to be the fastest growing industry the next decade. Whilst the global growth rate is around 1.8%, the African aviation industry is projected to grow 5% annually. So by the next 10 years, the 75.1 billion will go beyond 120 billion US dollars. That's what it means. It would have expanded by 50% the next 10 years. Now, my question is, how are you going to position yourself so that you take advantage of this industry and what it offers? Now, when some of these projections come, as a researcher, we always say the devil is in the detail. So you go beyond the projections and begin to see what underpins some of these projections. And two very fascinating drivers of this projected growth on the African continent will be the expanding middle class and the young African population. And that's where we come in. Africa has the youngest population on the globe. Well over 38% of our population are below the age of 20. So 1/3 of the African population is below the age of 20. And I can find most of us here. What is it that we're going to do? When you begin to think globally, then you can act. And when you are acting, start small, act locally. And project the next decade where you want to be. And begin to work on it brick by brick. So, I don't know if I have been able to contextualize the discussion and in a way pick your young minds as where the global direction is and how you can fit in. Because trust me, when a young baby is born today in Nima, by the next 2 decades, he will be competing for a job for someone born in Manila. That is going to depend on how well you are prepared for the job market and what you intend to do with the opportunities that present itself. So I thank you very much for the opportunity. I'll be here with you throughout the program, and I hope we're going to have a lively discussion. Thank you very much.
I think because of the